Hello, Ashley Bugge. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Lisa.
We never run out of things to talk about because you are constantly on your expeditions and you're the polar explorer. And so we have things to talk about from your last exploration and the nonprofit you've recently founded. So thank you for being on the show again.
Well, thanks for having me. I know I llove when I see your name pull up on my phone. I'm like, oh, what are we going to
Well, I also have appreciated so many wonderful guests you've sent my way. I love having a show where people think, oh, well, let's tell Lisa about that person so Lisa can share that person with our audience. So thank you.
do?
All right, let's get started. So first of all, I want to mention your two books, Always Coming Back Home and The Ocean is Calling. So those are two books. And you also wrote a third book that you helped your children with.
Yeah, called Hui Ho Until We Meet Again. So it's a book written by kids for kids who are dealing with or have dealt with the loss of a parent or a loved one. So my husband passed away, as we talked about him before, in 2018 when we were living in Hawaii, and I was 6 months pregnant with my youngest daughter. And at the time, there were resources for kids, but they were really focused, based in religion or kind of faraway concepts. And my kids were unborn and 1 and 3 at the time. And so, yeah, that was just an opportunity to say there's not a resource that meets what my kids need. So let's create one. And it became a published book.
And so now your kids are published authors.
They are, and they don't understand that that's really cool and special.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, and the other part too, when you share your life with your kids in terms of your exploration, you've even been able to take your daughter with you on one of those trips. We talked about that last time. And one of the things that your husband passed away in a diving accident while in the Navy.
Yeah.
And so you thought, just to catch the audience up here, you thought, I'll never dive again. I can't take any of those risks. And then you decided to go to his 1-year memorial where his team dived in his honor and placed a ocean safe monument for him. And you decided, yes, I am actually going to do that. What a safer place to start. And it just kind of lit your fire again. Made you feel like it's possible to still live an adventurous life and be a widowed single mom.
Yeah. Hearing someone else tell that, I'm like, that's crazy. That
Yeah.
is crazy. And I have doubled down and tripled down even since then. So yeah, it was, obviously the shock of losing him and losing him in such a big way while I was pregnant, while the kids were young, doing something we both love. The only way that I saw it for myself to not die in a diving accident like he did is to not dive. But then, as they were putting the living reef together and we were arranging the memorial dive, it was just kind of like, I can't not be a part of that. Like, I can't not see that with my own eyes where he's being laid to rest. I can't not touch that memorial and like get my time to say goodbye underwater. I just knew I would regret it. And that was more powerful to me than the anxiety and being scared and nervous and all the things that could go wrong. I knew that if I was going to get back into diving, like you said, that was the safest time to do it. All eyes on me. I've never felt safer underwater than on that dive, which was the most emotional dive of my entire life. But yeah, diving is just something that's been so special to me and to my husband and I. And after that first dive, it was like, I feel it again. Like when you have that kind of, whatever it is, music, sports, anything, you just have that inside of you. It's a part of your identity. And that is the ocean and diving for me. And so that first dive back, I was like, I'm back. I'm back in so many ways. I'm back as a person. I've got my confidence continuing to grow as a mom, as a widowed mom, as a single mom. I'm just back and I'm going to figure this out.
And one of the things that you did through that experience, it really opened you up to the opportunities for the exploration you've done since then. I mean, when I say exploration, I mean, give us some examples, just your top 2 or 3 that you've done since making that decision to get back in the water and how that opened you up to so many other possibilities.
Yeah, so this year I've actually earned the coveted title of bipolar explorer, which those unfamiliar in the polar expedition world is a great grand title. It means I've done in-water research. I've been in the water in both the Arctic and the Antarctic, and done a lot of really cool stuff. Yeah, those are like the top. I've done some really, really cool stuff, getting to go take my daughter Honduras on expedition. We've traveled all around. We did like a 2-month backpacking trip through Europe with kids. But yeah, visiting, being in the water with orca in the North Pole and being in water with humpback whales in the South Pole, nothing compares.
I bet not. I bet not. And let's talk then. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your most recent expedition and also talk about the nonprofit that you founded. We'll be right back with Ashley Bugge. We're back talking with you, Ashley, about your polar explorer life that you live as the widowed single mom of your children after losing your husband in his dive. And really how choosing to explore and being part of that life again, really you've exceeded anything you had done before his passing. And all of that is because you chose to keep going and live the life you two had lived and not be in fear of something of the same fate happening to you. You most recently finished an expedition. These are very small teams that go. Only the best in the world are invited. And you were one of the people who was invited. It's called Blue Green Citizen Science Expedition. Can you please first describe for us what citizen science is for those of us who don't know?
Sure. So, yeah, citizen science is the idea that really anybody can contribute to science. So, we have highly skilled, highly trained professionals all around the world who study for a very long time, spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy to gain these skills to be the real scientists, and they deserve all of the credit. But they also need help to kind of do some of the field work that they might not have all of the access or time or energy to get to. So we go out and we kind of do or coordinate or arrange some of that work for the scientists. So the Blue Green expedition to Antarctica was that was actually a pretty big, in terms of expedition vessels that I've been on, a pretty big expedition. I think there was 110 maybe people on that expedition, and some were divers, some were science teams that were called out to do their work in the field, and then some of us were citizen scientists, kind of doing the grunt work, if you will, for the scientists. So that just means we collect data. So anything that they're working on, for instance, we had plankton specialists on board. We had sea star specialists on board studying sea star wasting syndrome down there. And whatever they need, we kind of get in the water and get it for them.
And so in this part of your career that, when you decided to go back in the water and start diving again, and then you started receiving these opportunities because your story is so well told through your books and through your presence and your speaking and all the things that you do, I'll remind the audience that we met because I met your mom at an airport. Yeah. And her name is also Lisa, and she and I hit it off, and then she put us in touch, and we've been in touch ever since. I think it's been like 4 years now. And so getting to watch as an outsider looking in, I understand as a woman, as a single widowed mom, that a lot of our motivation, and I'm not speaking for you, I'm speaking based on the conversations you and I have had, a lot of our motivation is trying to make sure our kids live a beautiful life, no matter the obstacles, no matter their loss, our loss, but to show them the possibilities. Now, I have not, nor will I ever go to the North Pole. I might not even ever see a whale in my lifetime, but in my little corner of the world, I'm trying to make sure that my version of the life I'm trying to provide for my son, and that now he's providing for himself now that he's 25 and grown. Um, so getting to the question is, how old is your oldest child?
10. So I have 10, 8, and 6 now.
Okay, so is the 10-year-old or are any of them starting to get how cool their mom is? You know,
No.
no, not yet. And I don't know how long it takes. You know, maybe they have to get past the teenage years or however that is. And I've never asked my son the question, oh, does he feel satisfied? I mean, I guess we've had those conversations. He feels like he's had a great, happy life and a good childhood, and he's solid, and your kids are solid. And so I just wonder how much that motivation comes from just making sure they get to have a beautiful life.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Izzy, my 10-year-old, about that yesterday. We went for a walk and I was talking about my nonprofit and how my hands are just in so many different areas and how I have all these people that I need help with. And I asked her if she would be willing to do like social media for us, like to make reels, because she is like on the up and up. She is always like, oh, that's cringe and that's stigma. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're saying to me
Yeah.
right now. She's like,
Yeah.
no. So I'm like, it'd be really funny to have, our nonprofit's all about like citizen scientists, and we're female polar explorers, and we're coming together to kind of create and build this community. It'd be really funny to have like a young person's perspective and like make it trendy and hip and funny. It has nothing to do with ocean science, but we've made it into ocean science. And she was like, okay. And I was like, in my head, I'm forever the entrepreneur. I'm like, ooh, if that works well, we could have you do a YouTube. And then if that goes well, maybe you want to go into the field and we could do this and this. And she's like, Mom, I don't want to do that. I want to be an actress and I just want to do these reels. So you pay me.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, that she knows what she wants and doesn't want, and she's not afraid to say so. That's part of raising good, solid kids.
Yeah.
So then the idea that you guys can work together on something and be part of it, and it's interesting because our kids, my son doesn't have any interest at this point being an entrepreneur. I think he wants to do some things out on his own later, but they just are paying attention to what we're doing, and we try to surround them with people who are movers and shakers too, and are motivated by life and what we can achieve. So good job, Mom.
Hey, yeah, I think the thing that they take away, a lot of people hear some of the stories I share and they're like, whoa, you're so cool. You've done this. Like they see these kind of like one-off stories or things that I've done that they think are cool. My kids don't see that because they've grown up in this, but I think
Normal to them.
Yeah, which is great for me. Like that's what I want. I want this to be their baseline. I want this to be like, that was normal. Now I want to go do something actually cool. But I see the way that we live our lives as a family. I see the level of confidence they have, and they're not being fearful to try something, even if it might not work out. And I think that's kind of the example that my way of doing things is building them up for success. More than anything else, it's just I'm going to try it and see what happens. And it's okay if it doesn't work, that we're going to learn something from that. We're going to pivot. And I'm seeing that growing in them, which is incredibly special as a mom to get to see that.
Yeah, I think it is. And like I said, as an outsider looking in, watching you do these things that I think are really cool. I think about your kids and just how, we all want to do the best we can. That's what we want. And I think you're doing a good job. So I just think it's important to tell people that when you feel that way. So let's take a quick break. I want to talk about your nonprofit, the Seabirds, and you and your co-founder and the ideas you have going forward for your nonprofit. We'll be back in just a moment. Finishing up with you, Ashley Bugge, I want to mention your books again, Always Coming Back Home and The Ocean is Calling. You also were talking about your nonprofit, the Seabirds. You co-founded it. You met someone on one of your explorations that you felt like is the same as you, like literally the same person, just living on opposite coasts, which is never convenient, right? When you're trying to form a nonprofit together. But tell me about your meeting and how you two met, and then also just about how you came up with this idea for the seabirds.
Yeah, we always joke like
Tell
we
me her name. Sorry,
Tiffany.
Tiffany. Okay.
That's my tip. Yeah, we met in Norway. We ended up being roommates in Norway and just kind of hit it off. We're stuck on a expedition vessel in no access really to land for over a week. So you have plenty of time to talk and all the adventures to have. And she had lost her dad quite some time ago. And we kind of started talking through loss and things that we want to do in life that we learned because of experiences that we've had around grief and loss. And you just see the world differently when you've experienced something like that. Time is limited. And if you want to do something, you have to go do it now. And we ended up flying home or flying, I don't remember where our layover was, flying somewhere together on our way home from Norway. And on that flight, we were just like, we need to do something. What do we do with all this energy, all this excitement? She's an entrepreneur as well. She's an underwater storyteller. And that idea kind of started hatching. And that was in 2022. And then we've obviously kept in touch ever since then. And she came to Antarctica as well this year. And while we were in Antarctica, we were like, okay, this is it. Like, we love this stuff. We need to find ways to be out on expedition more. We need to find ways to get more people involved so that it's not so, selective of who can do this and when they can do it. We need to bring more people into this now that we kind of know how to do it. And so, yeah, the seabirds were hatched from that. And we brought in all of our friends and all of our people who know how to do kind of their specialty and whatever it might be. And now we are just a team of female explorers working to promote citizen science to help with conservation efforts.
So when you say working to promote, you're talking about schools, education, giving them an idea of something outside of the classroom, but bringing it into the classroom.
Yeah, so we kind of have two pillars within. So we have our expedition call out team where we'll go out on expedition vessels, cruise ships, anything kind of customer facing, and we will run citizen science on board for them. So we can do things like plankton tows and Secchi discs and microplastic tows, which probably doesn't sound that exciting unless you're involved in it, but I promise being in the water and scooping water out and seeing the stuff in it is very exciting for people like me and people that haven't done it. It is exciting to be involved in it and know that that work that you're doing does make its way to scientists who use that to help combat climate and ocean change. So we have that part where the team of us go out and get to run these things on board. And then we also...
So are you commissioned for some of these? Like you're in partnership with those same types of scientists? Like when you go out on your expeditions, you know what work they need done and they perhaps assign it or tell you what they need and you go out with this nonprofit and do the same to some degree?
Yeah, kind of twofold. So yes, certainly we, like in Antarctica, we were supporting specific scientists doing specific work. But we also have access to different apps online now, thankfully, where we've built projects underneath them. And so people in Honduras or Thailand or Antarctica, anybody can find marine debris and upload it into these apps under the Seabirds project. And then scientists have access to that information as well to help track. But then the other tier of that is because we are doing all of this stuff out on expeditions and creating all this content and learning all these skills, then we do take those and we go into classrooms. We go into groups. We just partnered with a Girl Scout troop and we teach that to kids too, so that they have access to this and they understand there are pathways forward, even if they don't feel like they love science. They have the opportunity to be involved in it, which is amazing and beautiful.
Now, have you tested this out with your own kids, I'm sure, a little bit?
Oh, 100%. My kids are always doing beach cleanups. They're always out there. Yeah, they are. And then we actually, we've just partnered with Blue Green Expeditions, the same team that we went out with earlier this year to Antarctica. And they are very keen on citizen science expeditions. And So we'll be working with them to try to bring more people out on their expeditions and involve more people. So there's opportunity out there. I know you were like, I would never go, or I'll never find myself in the poles, but now with the green expeditions and the seabirds, the opportunity is there. So
Right.
anyone that's interested or curious, you can link up with us and we will take you out to the Arctic or to the Antarctic or really anywhere worldwide, and we can do some cool science together.
Well, anyway, and I should never say never, right?
Right.
Never say never. So now with the nonprofit and the 2 books, well, 3 books, including the one you helped your children with, what's next? Is that's enough, but you always have
Oh,
something. Yeah, there it is.
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. We have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
I know. I'm opening a Montessori high school here in Vancouver. I know. It's been a couple years in the works.
I didn't know that you'd be opening a school. I just figured there might be something coming up next.
Yeah. I'm working with a couple colleagues.
When you say here, you're in Vancouver.
Yeah, just outside Portland, Oregon. Yeah, we're opening a Montessori high school. I will be the director of expeditions and community activities. So my role will be to basically do everything I'm doing with my nonprofit, but with high school kids as well. So the whole goal will be to plan and execute an international expedition for them each year and watch them kind of get to be little scientists and explorers as they grow up.
We need to have a whole episode just on funding because people don't realize, there's a lot of things that we can do in this world that companies, corporations, other nonprofits, grants want to pay us to do. It is, and also businesses, they are happy to, sponsor baseball teams and all that sort of thing, but you show them something a little different and they might just go for it, as my good friends at Town Toyota here in Wenatchee did with my tours. Lots of different things. So thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your exciting life and story. I wish you the very best and I will have you back again and again and again.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ashley.
Come on, right here. Yeah. Come on, right in there. Oh, he's going under. Here we go.
Right here.
Yes.
Right here.
Oh.